Let me say something a little mean. A lot of people aren't addicted to AI. They're just having an emotional affair with a server because it feels safer than people. Think about it. There are things you would never tell your best friend. Wouldn't tell your partner? And definitely would never let slip in front of your parents. But at 1:48 a.m., you'll dump every last toxic thought into a chat box. Why? Because that server isn't going to screenshot it and drop it in the group chat so everybody can laugh. It's not going to turn your secrets into a meme or some random piece of gossip. It's the only digital confession booth that never betrays you. But the scary part isn't that AI is smart. It's that it gives you a version of connection that is way too low effort. So low effort that talking to real people starts to feel like a project that needs way too much staff. And honestly, that's not hard to understand. AI has never cut you off with. Damn, that's crazy. And then 5 seconds later, turned your pain into the setup for a story about itself. AI doesn't have main character energy. It doesn't wake up moody. It doesn't have a giant ego. And it doesn't fake listen to your trauma while scrolling TikTok like a glitched out NPC. You type. It's there. No friction. No risk. No need to Photoshop your words. So, of course, talking to a pile of code feels easier than talking to an actual human being full of complications. And that's not a side detail. That's a full-blown crisis of presence. Because when a whole generation finds it easier to open up to a chatbot than to their own partner, then the thing breaking down isn't the phone in your hand. What's breaking down is our ability to tolerate each other. It's pretty simple. Talk to AI long enough, and you get hooked on that frictionless kind of response. You talk, it listens. You vent, it replies. You spiral, it puts your thoughts into words. No reading facial expressions. No guessing subtext. And best of all, no sitting through those painfully awkward silences that real people always have to deal with when they suddenly run out of things to say. But then you close the app, come back to real life, and suddenly everything looks like a mess again. Real people reply late. Real people misunderstand you. Real people get defensive. And right when you need them to listen the most, they're asleep, eating, or just busy living their own lives. And what's the first thing your brain says? Wow, kind of ridiculous. Very unprofessional. Terrible service. 0 stars on Yelp. But that's what real communication actually looks like. Human beings were not built to optimize your user experience. Real people have bugs. They lag. They have giant egos. Sometimes they really do care about you, really do want to help, and still manage to say the one thing that makes you lose your mind. And if you've started seeing all of that as too much, it's not because the world suddenly got worse. It's because your social muscles are starting to atrophy. You're forgetting how to do deeply human things. Wait. Read a raised eyebrow. Handle being misunderstood. Take a breath. Explain yourself again. In other words, AI isn't just giving you a place to vent. It's quietly paralyzing the exact instinct you need to maintain a real relationship. And once those social muscles start shrinking, you fall straight into the next trap. Loneliness packaged as understanding. This is where we lie to ourselves in the most sophisticated way possible. You start telling yourself, only AI really gets me. Wake up! AI does not understand you the way people do. It does not worry about you. It does not share real memories with you. And most importantly, it loses absolutely nothing if you make a terrible decision right after that conversation. It's basically an echo chamber. You throw your sadness into it, and it hands that same sadness back to you. But softer. Filtered. Smoothed out. Gentle enough to make you stay. Smooth enough to make you stop wanting to step outside and deal with the rough edges of real people. And that's where it gets dangerous. Because real people do not work like that. Real people react differently than you. They have their own perspective. Sometimes they annoy you. Sometimes they say the exact thing you least want to hear. And let's be honest, we hate that feeling. But That exact irritation, that rub you the wrong way discomfort, is what actually helps you grow. If you start sinking into AI like it's some kind of rescue, you don't become less lonely. You just lock yourself in tighter. And from there, you slide straight into the next trap: artificial intimacy. AI gives you something that feels a lot like intimacy, but it cuts out almost all the hard parts of real intimacy. No awkwardness. No fear of rejection. No fear of bothering someone. No fear of getting left halfway through. You don't have to deal with anyone else's ego, or mood, or schedule. Sounds like a great deal. And whenever something sounds too good, the bill usually just hasn't shown up yet. If you keep going back to AI to be soothed, reassured, and emotionally held together, your brain starts adapting to that risk-free version of intimacy. And then real people start to feel annoying. Talking to real people feels draining. Explaining yourself feels like work. Maintaining a real relationship starts to feel like unpaid labor. The problem isn't that AI is amazing. It's that you're getting used to a version of connection that has been polished way too much. Polished to the point where real life starts looking like a system error. But real intimacy is never smooth. It's clumsy. It's slow. It's full of misunderstandings. It needs apologies. It needs repair. It needs ugly, unglamorous moments. And that messy pile of nonsense is exactly what creates real closeness. If the thing you call connection has never forced you to be patient, never made you uncomfortable, never made you carry responsibility for someone else's feelings, then that isn't intimacy. That's just convenience, dressed up as intimacy. And by this point, it crashes straight into something even bigger: mental health. AI can calm you down for a minute. That part is real. There are nights when your head feels like a room that's been completely trashed, and typing a few lines into a chatbot really can make you feel lighter. I'm not denying that. But temporary relief and real help are not the same thing. A chatbot can calm you down for 20 minutes. That does not mean you're getting better. That's the trap. You think you're being helped. A lot of the time, you're just being soothed enough to keep enduring what's already breaking you. The problem doesn't disappear. It just gets covered up by a nicer conversation. And young people were already exhausted before AI showed up. This isn't just messing around with tech anymore. This is where loneliness, avoidance, and emotional dependence start stacking on top of each other. You tell yourself, at least I'm saying it out loud. At least something is answering me. Sounds reasonable. But there is a huge difference between being answered and being helped. A chatbot cannot see you in real life. It cannot read your face. It cannot drag you to a doctor. It cannot call your family. It cannot truly stop you. And most importantly, it is not responsible for your life. Using AI to organize your messy thoughts? Sure. Using it as a crutch for your soul? That's when you start delaying the moment you turn to real people at the exact time you need them most. And if you want to keep the research in the script so your scene tool can still build around it, then say it like this: young people being unwell is not just a feeling. A lot of people were already living with long-term sadness, anxiety, and hopelessness before AI ever entered the room. And when AI showed up at exactly that moment, it didn't heal the hole. It just slipped into it perfectly. And even if you ignore all those emotional bills, there's still one brutally simple bill left: privacy. Less dramatic, way more exposing. A lot of people shrug this part off and think, it's just a few chats. No, it's not. When AI becomes the place where you unload yourself, you're not just venting. You're opening the door and letting a system walk straight into the darkest corners of your head. Your fears. Your secrets. The ugliest parts of you. The things you still can't say to a real person. You think you're looking for a confidant? The system thinks, great. Thanks for the input. And the biggest irony is this: there are real people in your life you still don't trust that much. But a pile of code? That gets access. You're handing the demons in your head over to something that has no shame, no human sense of discretion, and no responsibility for what happens to you afterward. So the cost here isn't just data exposure. The cost is that you're letting a system enter the one place that was supposed to stay the most private. So, no, I don't think the real question here is AI convenient? Of course it is. It's way too convenient. So convenient that people are starting to use it as a version of connection with no friction, no awkwardness, no misunderstandings, and no responsibility. Sounds like a human upgrade. Until you realize, the thing being optimized is not love, not friendship, not understanding. It's the feeling of being comforted without having to face a real human being. AI won't betray you. It doesn't care enough to. It just takes the input and gives you something back. So what's it gonna be? A cleaner connection with a machine? Or the messy one that still makes you human? Are you actually struggling to connect with the people around you? Or are you just getting used to talking to AI because it's easier? Comment respectfully so people can read different perspectives. And if you like content that calls out the real problems of this era without fake motivational fluff, subscribe to Vex Oriss.